been here in Australia for the first 10 days of 2025, reconnecting with my family and friends and spending lots of time on the beach and fishing, and also catching up on what's happening in Australian wine that we don't really get to see very much of on the west coast of the US. It's always exciting for me to come back home and see what's been happening in the wine landscape, and it's definitely been a couple of years since I've been home to visit. So a few things that I picked up and pulled out of my cellar while I was here really surprised me and have been really fun wines to explore. Starting off with a tried and true one that is in the US is the Jauma wines. From James Erskine in South Australia. James I first met, 2008. I was visiting the basket ranges in the Adelaide Hills and hanging out with Tom Shobrook and Anton and all the guys that kind of started that micro movement into these old orchard, higher elevation, hidden valleys of the basket ranges in the Adelaide Hills, and really where Australia's first natural wine movement sort of started. So I always love checking back in on these wines. Not a lot of them make it to the West Coast. They do get gobbled up in LA. It was a 2022 Chenin Blanc from McClaren Vale, really sandy soils right on the coast. So nice cooling ocean influence coming onto the Chenin Blanc there. And this was a skin fermented Chenin Blanc, which had some really lovely texture, that typical quintessential sort of lanolin character and orchard fruit notes that we love in Chenin Blanc. And I was really happy to see or noticed on the label of the Jauma wines, noting who the wine is farmed by, and then also the family that made it, so the Erskine family, and also recognizing the indigenous peoples of the region and the country that this wine was grown in. So that's something that I'm noticing on a couple of bottlings that I picked up here in Australia, which I think is a really positive and beautiful thing to see. This is incredibly ancient land. And so this is really nice to see on the label. Jamsheed is another. Gary Mills is just an amazing visionary winemaker as well. It has a long history in Australia, very popular in Japan as well, as is Jauma wines. But Gary's in Victoria, so has sourced wines from Great Western in Victoria, Macedon, King Valley, all of those kind of areas, but really his prime area for sourcing fruit is really the Yarra Valley dress circle vineyards around the city of Melbourne. This Jamsheed wine is a Rhone white blend of Marsanne and Roussanne. It was shared by a good friend of mine who brought this bottle up for me, knowing that I really love Gary's wines, and it didn't disappoint. It's a 2021, Apricity is the name of the wine, and this too is mentioned that it's grown on Yorta land. So that's something that I'm really starting to see more acknowledgement. Another favorite from the Yarra Valley that I had was Lambert, Syrah from the Yarra Valley. Yarra Valley is about 45 minutes from Melbourne, and it's very similar in climate and positioning as the Willamette Valley is to Portland. There's a coastal influence that's not far away that brings in cool evenings and cool winds in the afternoon that really drop the temperature during the growing season, helping to make really pristine, vibrant acid, high quality fruit, Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Syrah, cooler climate varieties in very much that sort of Willamette Valley style. Lambert is one of those intrepid souls who started out. This is a 2008, so this is a 100% whole cluster Syrah, and it is wild yeast fermented and bottled without fining or filtration, which he puts on the back of the label there. Luke is still making wine down in the Yarra as well. Another wine that I really loved is Gentlefolk. This Chardonnay for me was just the epitome of that style of clean, crisp, high acid, pure fruited, but with just a hint of flintiness and reduction Chardonnay that really comes from not touching the barrels, full barrel fermentation, full time on lees, full malolactic, not touching the barrels, and allowing all of that wine, the mother, to be in touch with the wine and bottled off the yeast lees. It's 12.5% alcohol, so cool climate, clones 95 and 96, so fairly standard Chardonnay clones from the Burgundian varieties. And so those earlier ripening, high quality production clones came in the late 80s into the Adelaide Hills is what this wine is based off of. It was a really beautiful, delicious Chardonnay. And something else that I'm really excited about is these wines, Daze and Daze. I love that little play on the name. This is a really fun pet nat. Again, really focusing on the natural wine movement. As you can see, it's pretty cloudy, as pet nat is fermented in bottle. The last of the fermentation occurs in bottle, so it's just a single fermentation in bottle. That's my second bottle of that because I really liked it. Just got a nice little orange wine grip that is not overly powerful, that keeps the vibrancy of the orchard fruit, but it just gives you sort of that peach skin sort of texture and bite on the palate as well, which makes it really moreish. And then this other one that I'm really excited to try, some of the Spanish varieties, which, if anyone knows me, I love Spanish varieties and Spanish wines, and primarily the wines of Galicia and Spain and the Canary Islands I'm really taken with. This one is Thunderclap. This is a wild ferment that is unfined and unfiltered, but it's by the grape variety Prieto Picudo, and it's a red pet nat. You can see it's unfiltered. You can see the sediment in the bottle there. I'm excited to try this, and I think if the monsoon rains outside ever stop, I will fire up the barbecue and crack this open. Maybe some, I don't know, bacon buddies or something like that. Prieto Picudo. Who would have thought that, Australia, renowned for Syrah, would be working with a grape variety from, northwestern Spain, that is quite rare, really, in the world of wine. One final one that I am super excited to get into is the 2007 Nebbiolo from Lambert, from Heathcote. Heathcote has some of the oldest soils on the planet. They're Precambrian, intensely volcanic, and very, very aged and weathered. This wine I'm expecting to show some really beautiful development and age, but also be incredibly delicious and savory. So that is my wrap up of Australian wine. I hope if you ever get the chance to come and visit this beautiful country, really come and enjoy, pick up the local wines from small producers, and seek them out wherever you are. Throw any questions that you have about these wines or recommendations for other wines in the chat, and I will do my best to answer and get onto that. Cheers.